Hey, what's happening everyone? I'm SirJames, coming to you guys with another video, and hopefully you guys are doing well and had a wonderful weekend. As for me, my weekend wasn't too bad because I got some new clone troopers that are going to be adding to my collection very soon, to name a few, and I'm pretty sure you guys will be excited for these, which of course all these are sideshows because that's what they've been doing for quite a long time now, is Commander Wolf along with the Wolf Pack Trooper, and from the 501st lineup we have the 501st Deluxe Trooper and Fives and Echo, the 2-pack. Now some of you point out, but I have Fives and Echo. Yes, this is their ARC Trooper format. I have the non-ARC Trooper ones coming in, which is going to be worth adding to my collection for sure, so hopefully you guys look forward to those in a future video. But today's video, we're here to focus on two completely different items that are not related to the Clone Wars, instead is related to the original trilogy, more specifically Return of the Jedi, and that is the Scout Trooper and the speeder bike combination. Now I will point out that from the items in today's video is that the actual speeder bike is still surprisingly available on Sideshow Collectibles website. I'll put a link to it down below if you want to check it out for yourself. As for the Scout Trooper, unfortunately not so much. He was at one point back in stock, but then he kind of went out and he hasn't been back since. But not to worry, if you do really want to get a Scout Trooper and a speeder bike, there is a brand new one coming out by Hot Toys, which I do have on pre-order. They do have two different options where you can get just the Scout Trooper, a little bit different looking than the one that I'm going to be showcasing in today's video, obviously more weathered up and to match from the show of The Mandalorian. And of course there's a combo where you can get the Scout Trooper with the speeder bike and also includes the child, which is actually for a pretty good deal, probably a bit cheaper than it would be to get these two individual items, at least in my opinion. So let me go ahead and give you guys a closer look at the initial packaging, then we'll go straight to the actual review, due to the fact that, well, it's kind of hard to take the speeder bike apart and to put it all back in to do the unboxing slash review, so we'll just kind of skip to the review. But here is what the packaging will look like for the Scout Trooper. Very simple. Now I do want to point out that this one here that I have is the exclusive one, if you will. The only difference really that makes this one an exclusive is that he comes with the included sniper rifle. The non-exclusive one does not, so just one little accessory. I personally prefer to have that additional one. Then as for the speeder bike, this is what the packaging will look like for this item. Very simple all the way around. As for the internal portions, it actually comes in a really thick styrofoam, so it's safe for transportation, but can be a little bit of a pain when it comes to assembly. So let's go ahead and switch the camera views around and take a closer look at these two pieces. Alright, so as you can see, I have both the Scout Trooper and the speeder bike laid out here on the table, and these two pieces together just look amazing. And I will say that if you do plan on getting this, whether it's this one or the newer one coming out, it's good to make sure that you have some room to display, specifically the speeder bike itself, because it is much more of a longer piece versus a Scout Trooper, which could easily fit in any scenario depending on where you have your figures already displayed in your collection. So what I want to do first is that I want to talk about the speeder bike first, kind of get the larger portion out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and get to the Trooper right afterwards. Alright, so here is the speeder bike. Now do know that for the speeder bike, it does require a little bit of an assembly, and I might as well take this off so it's not too blended in with my vest here. But anyways, when you do get this in the box, it does require a little bit of a assembly process. It's not too complicated, but there were some pieces that when I was putting in, I was a bit worried about possibly breaking off, that's for sure. Now I just want to kind of get this off the way, is that by default this retails on Sideshow's website. Just this alone with what you see here retails for $330. Personally, I would never spend $330 on this piece. As nice of a piece it is, it's just I don't feel quality wise that price tag. If Sideshow were to slash this by $100, making it at least default $230, then I'd feel like, yeah, that's a solid price indeed. But $330, just can't really recommend it at that kind of price tag. But thankfully, the newer one that's coming out by Hot Toys, even with the Scout Trooper, is a lot cheaper. Actually, it's about a little bit over $100 in saving if you get that with the Scout Trooper. But regardless, this is still a nice piece in the end. Now, I will point out that what's neat is that for the base here, you kind of notice there's a little bit of a rocky terrain. All this actually comes with it. In fact, this, for the most part, kind of just lifts over the default. So if you don't like that terrain thing that they provided, you could just remove that and have it more of a plain base down here on the bottom. But for me, you guys probably noticed that I made a little kind of a forced diorama to kind of make the set pop out a little bit. And then onto the top of these, you have these little rock pieces that you kind of add onto it and little branches just to kind of help with the display. Over here, holding this up is actually a nice, strong, and sturdy metal rod. That's definitely going to maintain its shape, and I don't feel like this rod is going to break or warp or anything like that. It's just a really solid piece. And then it connects to this little pivot section here, which also connects from the rod onto the speeder bike. And what this allows you to do is that when you pose them, or if you have the Scout Trooper on the bike, you could actually pose this like he's, you know, banking, making those turns and whatnot in any of the general direction that you want to go. And if you want to lock that in place, there's actually a screw underneath here, so you can tighten that up to ensure that it's going to maintain whatever spot you are. However, do keep in mind that when you do add the Scout Trooper, it's all about making sure you have that correct balancing. Otherwise, if this is locked into place and the Scout Trooper is not really in a way to kind of keep himself held up, then you might have some issues there. But you can still get some of those iconic moments for sure, especially with the one-handed blaster while riding the speeder bike. Seems to be a really popular combination that people tend to use. Now, I do want to point out that when you do assemble this, before you start putting on this bottom section here, I highly recommend you put the handlebars on first before you start putting all these bottom combinations, because these handles here were very hard to get in. Speaking of the handlebars, is that the sections here actually do rotate. So when you do, add your Scout Trooper, this does have a little bit of a giveaway. So you can go ahead and kind of pose that a little bit better depending on what kind of pose you want him to be in. The little fins up here on the front here actually kind of do move in and out as well. And then over here on the backhand side, these sections actually do open up depending on how you want to turn. On the top here, you do have a soft goods fabric sheet that just kind of sits there. And the pedals as well, where the feet actually go into, this also pivots up and down. So there's definitely some little bit of mobility there. And let me go just kind of maybe take this off here. There we go. As for the actual bike itself, it is on the lightweight side. It's not extremely heavy or anything like that, which is why I stated that I don't feel like this is worth the initial asking price for what it goes for, just because of how it feels in the hand. But again, I think $230 or less is a little bit more of a better deal here. Give you guys some close-ups here. Some details in there. Got some nice paint apps and weathering that's already done to it. So you don't have to do anything unless if you really want to add more. And again, it just kind of slides into one particular spot. It only goes in one particular way. It just pops into place and you are good to go. So that is the speeder bike. A very nice companion piece for the Scout Trooper indeed. Move that over to the side here. and to bring over the scout. So here is the Scout Trooper. Now the Scout Trooper, this one here is the exclusive one. So the exclusive here is the included sniper rifle, which works for me and probably the one that I would rather get out of the most, because when I play Star Wars Battlefront and I have him as the Scout Trooper, kind of goes with my character a lot more. As far as accessories for this guy, he's very simple. You know, he's got, again, the sniper rifle. He's got the little blaster that he has, or that really nice moment from The Mandalorian. In terms of initial hands and boots, very simple. He's got a 2 holding hands here, which is already on the character. He's also got a another hand here, which let me try to get these in order here. I think this is one of his weapon, or this is a trigger finger right here. And if the camera wants to, there you go. Trigger finger there. This one, I'm not entirely sure. Almost like he's holding something. Well, maybe this is used for the sniper rifle, kind of, depending on how you pose him. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. He's also got a, pointing finger. I disabled the face tracking, so right now it's just trying to focus on whatever it deems appropriate. So pointer finger, and then the other one is a little bit more of an open palm hand, so you can kind of rest the sniper rifle in his hand. And he also comes with 2 boots. Now these boots are going to be the ones that you would put with the figure if you're going to mount him on to the speeder bike. It's more bent in, like he's posed up on the bike. And the boots here are nicely weathered up. It's got a holster there on the side. Dirty, grimy look to it. And then there's the other one right there. And bring this figure forward here. When it comes to the different military ranks and whatnot in Star Wars, I'm always a huge fan when it comes to the films, specifically when it comes to the troopers. I always get excited in terms of, what new faction we are going to get and what the troopers are going to look like. And when it comes to the Empire, probably my personal favorite out of the troopers has to be the Scout Trooper. Just something about the Scout Trooper has a really nice and just a simple and unique look to him. He's a lot different looking compared to the standard troopers that we've seen in the films. And what I also like too as a figure form is that he's not going to be as hindered because he doesn't have all that armor caked onto him. He has mostly a lot of soft goods material on him with only a few armored components, but you're going to be able to easily get those nice bends within the elbow, those nice bends in the leg without anything that's going to be holding him back. So you're going to easily get a lot of different poses for him, that is for sure. So it's a really good job on Sideshow's department in regards to how this guy turned out. In terms of the weathering, he's actually a bit weathered up. The newer one that's coming in, he's going to be extremely weathered, which is going to be nice to do a comparison between the two, the newer one with the original one. But as far as weathering goes, he's definitely got some nice weathering on the armor, so it kind of shows that he's been on Endor, especially with the boots. Boots are nice and muddied up as they should be. The soft goods material towards the center here is a little bit more cleaner than how I think it should be. There's some slight weathering, but I feel like this could just be a little bit more weathered up. But these pouches here are actually not usable. There's something in there to kind of make it pop out a little bit, like there's something actually being held in there. But again, as far as the figure goes, extremely well done indeed. Now, the other cool thing too about the Scout Trooper is his actual display base. You know, sometimes a lot of the figures come with simple, basic black display bases to the point where it kind of looks like, well, this is your generic, boring Star Wars base. On the bottom it says Star Wars. Nothing fancy. It doesn't even say Scout Trooper or anything like that. It does have the 2015 trademark, so I don't know when this guy came out. But again, this is very basic. But what's neat about with the Scout Trooper is that he actually does come with these little accessories here that you can choose to add to the display base to give it that forced scenario. So that boring base has now turned into something a little bit more exciting, and I'm actually glad that they did that with the Scout Trooper, because it adds a lot more to him when you display him, and whether or not it's just the figure himself or if you display him alongside the speeder bike, it's just a really nice combination. So in the end, I really like how this turned out. It's a great piece indeed, but as he stated, if this is something that you really want to get, I would highly encourage you to perhaps pre-order the newer one that is coming out. I know it's not the Return of the Jedi option, but it's a lot more affordable getting that one than it would be to try to get this particular set here. But you know, it's completely up to you how you want to do it, or maybe if you could find this set for a really good deal, then easily recommend it for sure. But again, when it comes to the speeder bike, there are going to be some particular pieces that are going to be really hard to get on and probably almost near impossible to get off, so also keep that into consideration. But regardless, I really like how this turned out. He's definitely one of my favorite looking troopers. In regards to the Empire, probably alongside the Shore Trooper is my other personal favorite. Just something about those guys is just, I don't know, just they seem to be the more unique ones out of the set. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video review.